Hello everyone and welcome to the latest in TTG's How To series, where today we'll be discussing how to make it as a home worker. Since the COVID-19 crisis began, many UK home working agencies have seen a rise in the number of travel agents getting in touch to seek support and sign up to work as home workers. Of course, some of those joining will have very sadly lost their jobs due to the pandemic, but others have been keen for a lifestyle change after getting a taste for working from home during the pandemic. I'm Abra Dunsby, Features Editor at TTG, and today I'm joined by three fantastic home workers, Travel Counsellor Marie Rowe, Linda Reynolds of the Personal Travel Agents, and Sheena Umpleby of Holidaysplease, who will give their insights into the world of home working and explain what it takes to be successful. So hello ladies, thanks very much for joining me today.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can we start off by each of you telling me how long you've been home working for, your niche and demographic as a home worker, and also what you were doing before home working? Marie, are we okay to start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been home working as a travel agent for 5 years. I joined the very first return to travel training course that travel counsellors ran, and since then I've developed my business to niche or specialise in personally tailored adventures, luxury travel, 5-star family holidays, city breaks and honeymoons. And I guess in terms of demographic, most of my clients are professional couples who are cash rich and time poor and value my service. And they know that they're in safe hands when I can help them spend their hard-earned money on the 2 weeks of downtime that they've worked hard for all year. I also have a lot of retired clients and affluent families. So I've spent 5 years working towards getting that ideal client base.
Fantastic. Linda, can I ask you the same question, please?
So I joined home working in 1997, but prior to that I did 10 years with Thomas Cook, and I basically was the leading pilot for their home working scheme in 97. So I've been doing it for 24 years, so I've seen quite a lot of changes. The sort of my business, the people that I deal with are predominantly business people, or I've met them and done their honeymoons, weddings, and as Maria said, they're time poor and they do value my service, but mainly relationships. So a lot of relationships I've built up from word of mouth. So yeah, time poor people. Initially when I marketed, it was busy people who worked out of offices and business owners like myself that I marketed to. And my main niche is sort of luxury now, bucket list trips, multi-generational holidays and groups. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Brilliant, thank you. And Sheena, you're quite new to the profession, aren't you?
I'm not new to the profession, but I'm new to home working. So home working just coming up to 2 years, and been with Holidaysplease just since July. So prior to that, my sort of first delve into home working was actually via a local travel agent who set up with mid-counties, and she wanted someone to come in alongside her to fill in the gap in her expertise, because my background for more than 12 years is in long haul tailor-made. So I was with Round the World Experts for 9 years as part of Flight Centre, so just tailor making luxury long haul, predominantly Australia and New Zealand based. And she wanted someone to come in to fill that gap. So I set up as a consultant, self-employed consultant under her. And then the pandemic hit. And I kind of realised that if I was going to really build a strong home working business, I needed a little bit more support and structure around me, which is where Holidaysplease came in. But yeah, 17 years experience in total in travel, and I did have a little break for 18 months where I went into HR. Just, I think, I don't know about Linda and Marie, but when you've always worked in one industry, at some point you take a little bit of a break and think, is there another industry for me?
But you always come back, don't you? Always come back.
Very quickly. So yeah, so that's my backstory.
Okay, interesting. Thank you very much. And can we just talk a bit about why you chose to become a home worker then? So Linda, what were your motivations for doing so?
Well, I had 3 children, so I was very lucky. I worked part-time at Thomas Cook, but I'd always wanted to run my own business. So I wanted that flexibility and freedom. So it was predominantly to be with my family. So I brought up my 3 children. I've never missed a sports day. I've taken them to school. I've picked them up from school, but I also supported elderly family as well. So for me, it was predominantly the flexibility, and I could see that the potential earnings were far greater than I could ever earn in a retail high street shop. And being in control of my own life, you know, choosing the hours that I wanted to work. You know, if I wanted to work 2 hours of an evening and speak to a client or visit a client back in the 90s, that's what I did. So yeah, really it was the flexibility and being in control and the freedom that I had that made me look at home working and jump in and fly.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. And Sheena, what about you? What made you make that decision?
Yeah, very similar. Kind of wanting to be in control of my own life. And I think I'd spent so many years working in London and Manchester with big commutes, quite stressful environments. I was the manager for a long time. So not only are you doing your own sales, but you're building a team, which has its benefits and is exciting, but you get burnt out. And when you're spending 2 hours a day commuting, I've always thought, gosh, what could I do with that extra 10, 12 hours a week? And I also wanted to relocate back to where my family are, and which is quite rural. It's not near any big cities. And I love being outdoors, and I wanted to have control over my own time, so that if I want to go out for a 2-hour hike or a horse ride or a bike ride during the day, I can, because I know that I'll pick up the work on an evening and a weekend, and I can literally pick as long as I'm doing the hours that I need to do, I can choose when they happen. And I think customers quite love the fact that they ring you. Oh, I'm just out walking. You know, how about I call you back after dinner tonight? How does 7:30 suit? Oh, really? Are you available? Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you end up building really strong relationships with customers, I think, by them knowing that you're a home worker and in charge of your own business and your hours.
Interesting. And Marie, how about you? Were there similar motivations? Was flexibility a big one for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something I'm grateful for now more than ever, to be honest. I think for me, I worked in travel a long time ago. And then I pursued a 12-year career in various digital marketing roles, which was quite strategic because I knew that ultimately I wanted to run my own business. So I think I chose to buy into a franchise model as the most viable way to run my own travel business, more than I specifically chose to work from home. But home working is more than a suitable arrangement for me. It's something that I was used to doing on a fairly regular basis in the previous life, and therefore a setup I knew I was comfortable with and grateful for, as I said. And as Sheena's mentioned, the flexibility and being able to go for a walk in the middle of the day, if that's something that's important to you. It is to me. 11:30 every day I'm out the door, my 5-kilometre walk, and to me that is absolutely non-negotiable, especially at the moment. And yeah, to be able to arrange your day around things that are important to you or things that you want to avoid. Even, for example, I go for a walk at 11:30 because I don't want to go for a walk during the time that the school's empty, because it's not as enjoyable. My village is filled with bikes and huge groups of kids everywhere. So being able to be flexible and manage my diary around things like that is a massive bonus.
Interesting. And I think a lot of agents will have got a taste for that now as well. So perhaps that explains why there has been a rise in people seeking out home working positions. And then let's talk a bit about the actual company that you chose. Sheena, why did you choose to go with Holidaysplease in particular? And did you do a lot of research before choosing that company?
I did do quite a lot of research. For me, it was a referral because I knew a couple of people who had that I'd worked with in the past at Flight Centre who had moved to Holidaysplease. And so when the pandemic hit, I realised that I was in quite a precarious position, but wanted to continue being self-employed, a home worker. I was looking for that that right fit for me, and I wanted it to be not too large, because I'd come from a huge company where, you know, it's fantastic and you're well supported, but you can get a bit lost. So I wanted to feel like it was a family size company, but I could just be left to do my own thing. So I spoke to the couple of people that I knew at quite length, and I spoke to in quite a lot of detail with travel counsellors as well, and a couple of others. But ultimately, I just got a really nice feel for, you know, I had a Zoom, because everything was already in the pandemic. I had a couple of nice Zoom chats with the directors, and they just made me feel so welcome. Everything was very gentle, in your own time. We understand this is a tricky situation. We'd love to have you on board. And everything was made to feel very professional, but sort of, family orientated, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm using the word family a lot, but that's what it is, the HP family, and that's what we call ourselves. We are the HP family. So that's why I chose them. I mean, for me, the fact that you're given inquiry at Holidaysplease was a huge thing, because that's where I suddenly realised I was at potential to sort of struggle for a long time, because I was new into being self-employed as the pandemic hit. So I'd just about done 1 year, and I'd spent a year, and as the ladies will know, you spend the first 6 months of that year just building leads, and it takes a few months to get those bookings starting to come in. And then that was just happening, and I was just starting to pull a proper wage, and then March hit. So I wanted that backup of having the pool inquiry there. Their system is quite different to all the others, I feel. So that I know that I've got my own leads, I've got my own repeat customers, I'm always bringing in referrals as well, but I've got that backup inquiry, and I was able to very, very quickly build a database of customers using their own marketing.
Brilliant. Yeah, sounds like, particularly during this time, that must have been really helpful to have.
Just being able to talk about future trips. So, you know, a lot of people over the last year have not felt comfortable booking, and some have and some haven't, but just being able to know that you're still talking to customers about what their travel plans are, starting to build that relationship, even if they're not booking until 3 or 4 months down the line, you still feel like you're getting somewhere. So,
keeping that communication open.
Exactly.
Anne-Marie, how about you? Why did you choose travel counsellors?
Well, like Sheena just said, you know, there's something out there for everyone. So I did do my homework as well. I auditioned all of the franchise models offered by various travel companies, because it was really important to me that I made the right choice. And when I came across travel counsellors, for me, it was a no-brainer based on the type of business I wanted to run. For me, I wanted to commit to running a full-time business, which represented my sole income, with a provider who could give me what I needed to earn a good income. And the things that travel counsellors offered me that sealed the deal, aside from the credibility of their brand and their reputation, is the technology. And specifically, that is Phoenix, which is our bespoke travel booking engine, and it allows travel counsellors like me to dynamically package holidays using net rates from directly contracted hotel and airline partners, where we can add decent margins and still be competitive, as opposed to using a third party and taking a lower commission for it. So effectively acting as a tour operator rather than a travel agent. For me, that was major in my decision making. I found that their ethos is very much aligned with my passion for quality and customer care, and I was also really impressed with their unique financial trust, which protects our clients' money in the event of a supplier failure, and that gave me confidence that I'd be able to maintain a 5-star reputation where others, especially some online companies, as I'm sure you all know, often fail. But there's a lot more. They're just the highlights.
Fantastic. Well, it's great. I'm sure that's helped your brand reputation during this time as well, to have that that kind of ethos from travel counsellors as well. And Linda, how about you? Why did you choose the personal travel agents?
I was looking for, as we've said, more of a family feel. I was looking for a smaller organisation that knew me rather than knew me as a number, and supported me in my individual journey for my business, not what they wanted. They support me in what I want to do in my business. Plus the fact that Co-op was a household name, secure business, and part of something bigger. Everybody knows the Co-op brand, and it's a trustworthy brand, ethical, but mainly the family feel. We're not the biggest company, but I know that I can pick up the phone to any of our management, our business development managers. They contact us. They will give us as much or as little support as we need, and they're accessible. Plus the training, the support, the family feel. We get together, and it's like working with your best friends, sort of thing. That sort of close environment. I don't ever feel alone. So yeah, it's the relationships again. It's going back to the relationships, and Mid Counties Co-op gave me that relationship and that comfy, warm feel that we like. We all want to have that comfort zone, and we can ask anybody any questions at any time. There's no sort of hidden agenda. We've got access to the leading commission rates. We also have a bespoke booking system that we can put together, direct contracts. We also have Co-op holidays, and we've got some great marketing that supports us as well. So it's the whole package. It's looking at the whole thing. And initially there was only one or two companies back in the late 90s when I started out, but the ones that are established, I have followed certain people within those companies because I know their pedigree, I know their integrity, and I know when they say they're going to do something. That's why. So I sort of followed through with Alistair Rowland and Sheena Derby, Sheena Whittle, and they have a long-standing reputation and knowledge of the home working systems that we use.
Fantastic. And I think that sort of community element, again, is quite important for a home worker, because you can, you are a sort of individual, but you do have that community to rely on as well. So you're not actually on your own, as it were. And Sheena, you mentioned there sort of the first 6 months and how they can be tricky. Can we talk a bit about how the first sort of year of being a home worker was? Was it particularly tough? Did you earn much money in that first year? Marie, can we start with you on that one?
Yeah, sure. I loved my first year, actually. I think it was my favourite year. There seems to have been one thing or another holding me back every year since, but my first year was fun and it was good. I remember my first day in my home office. I was convinced to put an advert in my local community magazine, which was going to go to 15,000 homes, and the phone was guaranteed to ring off the hook. So I sat by my phone and waited for it to ring. And it rang once, and it was a local solicitor who had seen my advert and invited me to a business networking meeting that I knew I couldn't afford to join at the time. But I agreed to visit anyway, because it seemed like a great opportunity to tell 25 other local business owners about what I do and hand out my business card. But I came away from that meeting with 2 inquiries, an application form, and words I'll never forget from another member who told me that if I didn't join, someone else would. So I found the money I needed to join that networking group, and I've been there now for 5 years, and it's all I know how to do now when it comes to marketing. And in my first year, I think I sold £75,000 worth of holidays from referred business, just from the members in that networking group, which was probably about 50% of my business in my first year. And it's grown year on year, right up until last March. But in the 12 months before that, I did £250,000 of holiday sales just from referrals from that membership into that networking group. So I'm glad I advertised in that little magazine after all.
Brilliant. Yeah, just shows the power of those kind of groups. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And Linda, how about you? How was your first year, and how was it sort of finding those clients and making it pay?
So when I started out in 97, you didn't have social media platforms and things like that. So very much it was down to networking. And I picked up the good old yellow pages and I just went through. I rang anybody in a professional state, whether it was doctors, whether it was solicitors, estate agents. And I just wanted to introduce myself. I just made it very local. I just went and introduced myself to people, told them about this new concept. I'll give you an indication. So 97, I used to earn £350 working for Thomas Cook part-time, 15 hours a week, and had 3 children. My first month as a personal travel advisor for Thomas Cook, then I earned £852. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, so I knew it was going to work. So it was very much word of mouth marketing then, and yeah, I literally tripled my wages in the first year from what I earned, and year on year that is just increased. And like Marie, you join various groups. I'm a member of 2 groups now, and they are a constant referral, and the word of mouth mainly. So people I booked as young professionals in the late 90s, I'm now booking their children and even their grandchildren. So it's very much the word of mouth marketing that sort of made my first year brilliant, and it's been rolling ever since, obviously up until March last year. So but it looks as though the following, the people, I've kept in contact with them, and as Maria said, it's all going to go, it's going to explode, I know, and it's going to restart very soon.
Absolutely. Well, that's really interesting to hear, because I think there is a sort of misconception perhaps that your first year can be a real struggle, but it's really good to hear that it doesn't need to be. Of course, Sheena, it's probably been a bit different for you just because of the timing.
Yeah, my first year was just before the pandemic hit, so I know you asked about government help and stuff, and I missed out by a week. Oh. Because I started my business on the 1st of April, and I wasn't permitted to do my tax return until the 5th of April. Oh. You can imagine. So yeah, so that was interesting. But very much like Linda was saying, I took the word of mouth approach, because everyone who knew me had always known me as being a travel agent in a past life. And I just had that 18-month break. I went back to everyone, every single family member, every friend, and literally said, please can you refer people to me? I sort of made marketing material, and I very quickly got inquiries through. So anyone who worked in businesses, they then sort of, took my marketing material in and said, this is my friend, she's worked in travel for a long time, these are her areas of expertise. And my first few bookings were honeymoons, actually, and that kind of gave me the thought of, actually, this is a really good niche for me, because I do specialise in safari and beach, been to South Africa several times, sort of Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia, been to most of those places, so that's where I can talk about with passion. So I decided to start contacting wedding fairs and local hotels and get the banners. And so in that first year, I did several wedding fairs and got a lot of inquiries from that, because it doesn't cost very much to show, and you sort of make your stand your own. And as long as you've got some material there, but it was basically just about getting names and contact details, having a chat, and then making sure you are religious about following up with everyone and consistently following up once, twice, 3 times, and eventually the bookings come in, and then you get the referrals. So my business has always been based on repeating referrals from day one. So at the end of my first year, bearing in mind that last month was the first COVID month and we had a lot of cancellations, I didn't do too badly, and I finished on just under £14,000 for the year, which I think was quite a healthy first year of starting from scratch. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. And so Marie and Linda, you've obviously been in the game slightly longer. Would you say then, how easy is it to continue to make it to pay as a home worker? Can our salaries still pretty impressive compared to those that you might earn as a high street agent, would you say?
Would you like?
Go on, Linda.
I was going to say, it depends how much time and what you would put into it. As much as you put into it is as much as you'll get out of it. So if you just want to roll along doing it as like pocket money, you can do that. If you want to go in full steam ahead, commit your 40 hours, whatever you work. I think the main thing is, though, you've got that flexibility. It is your choice. It's how you market yourself, how you show up, and it's showing up consistently. So I would say, if you've got a database and you're coming in with a database, all well and good, but you can grow it. And based on social media, you know, if you show up as yourself, if you're marketing on Instagram, if you're marketing on Facebook, you can very quickly build a following. I'd say if you're coming in and thinking you're going to make a killing in the first month, you're not necessarily. It is going to be hard work, hard slog, but you can, and I've seen people do it, come in and make really good living out of it. I'd say give it 18 months. I say to people, give it 18 months, show up consistently, market yourself. Don't worry what other people are doing, you know, do the training, do the webinars, be honest with people, especially during the pandemic now. They're looking for you for advice. So it might not be the ideal time to come into home working at the moment, but if you're passionate about it, if it's something you really want to do, go for it. Mm-hmm. If you need obviously specific income, though, I would say you could still do your business running it alongside a part-time job. So don't be frightened off. Don't be frightened off by thinking, I can't do this. I have had a number of detours over the last 30 odd years of being in travel. I've trained as an electrician. I've been training travel professionals. I used to work for Training for Travel. I worked in a bank, but I always came back to travel, and all those sort of sidelines can work in partnership with your travel business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure there might be more, you know, more people that kind of do it alongside something else now as well, which is quite interesting. Yeah, Marie, how about you? Oh, sorry, Sheena, go on.
I say that's what I've always done. I've always had a second job. I've always felt comfortable having a little backup pot of money, so I can focus and put most of my energy into the travel business, but know that I've got that little part-time job on the side that covers the chunk of the bills.
Yeah, that reassurance, fantastic. And Marie, how about you?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what Linda said. The more you put in, the more you get out, and there are so many different franchise models and working from home travel businesses that you can, it's flexible depending on what you want. So if you want a side hustle or a second income, there are models that suit that. But I can talk about as a travel counsellor, so what it's like to run as a full-time business as your sole income. I think that I could talk on this topic for hours actually, but the short answer is that it's as easy as you make it. But if you want to make it easy, you need to work hard at a number of things, and I think fundamentally those things are to start as you mean to go on. So Sheena has just given us a fantastic account of the things that she started to do in the most difficult of times, which is really impressive. To be clear about what you want to do, how you do it, why you do it, and who you do it for, and to set goals and build strategy around how you plan to achieve them. And the clarity in your communication will give you the confidence to attract the type of business that you want. So, I mean, ultimately, you know, you're a business owner. The concept of being backed by a travel provider doesn't change that. For a lot of people, it could allow you to be lazy or spoon-fed. But if you're serious about growing a successful business, your efforts to define the type of business you want and to set out to achieve that will make it easy for you to earn good money. And if you don't have experience of running a business, there's loads of great business coaches out there, and actually a lot of free support at the moment. So that's offered through, there's various localized business support initiatives that have been created during the pandemic. And so it's a great time to check those out.
Thank you. Yeah, really useful advice. And another thing that some agents might be sort of concerned about if they're thinking about becoming a home worker is that they might be a bit worried that they'll end up feeling isolated or sort of missing an office environment. So yeah, how is it working from home constantly? Is it hard to get that work-life balance right? Linda, can I come to you for that one first?
I personally have done it a long time. So when the pandemic hit, you know, it didn't feel any different to me working from home. What I do is I have a planner. and I put all my family time in first, all the things I want to do to myself for myself. So I fit my travel business around that. So it's about my health and my family, and then the wealth for me, because ultimately we do things to make ourselves happy. And if it makes you happy doing what you're doing, you do it all the more better. Absolutely. And that's the way I like it. I'd rather work 20 hours at 100% than 40 hours at 30% and be miserable doing it. So I fit it around me, because like I say, ultimately we choose things that make us happy, and it makes me happy if I sit here for 40 hours and make a good earning, all well and good. But another week it might be, you know, I'm going to spend time with my grandchildren, I'm going to go for that walk, you know, I'm going to go away every month on holiday, you know. So that I'm at a different stage in my travel experience. I'm at a later stage in my life. I've put all the hard work and effort in. I've reaped the benefits of that and made some good choices. So yeah, you can balance it out, but you don't have to be sat there working 100 hours a week. That's what I would say to people. Make it work for you, and choose the bets. And that's with clever marketing, like I say, and keeping in contact, asking for referrals, and making it clear what you do. You know, if you are niching down, go for it. You know, go for that niche and you'll make a healthy living from it. But sometimes just know it won't be easy, but if you don't give up, you can't fail.
Wise words. And Marie, how about you? Have you got any tips for sort of getting that work-life balance right?
Yeah, I think my words of wisdom here are based solely on the things that I've done and recognise the value of. And in terms of work-life balance, I'd say that don't ever compromise on looking after yourself. If you want to go for a walk every day, make time for it, make time for you, drink water, eat well, sleep well, and don't ever say that you're too busy to do those things, because I did once, and I regret that period of my life where I wasn't fit and focused, because it leads to messiness, and that leads to distraction and poor time management and bad decision making. And before you know it, you're lonely, you're not working effectively, and you have a terrible work-life balance. So I think that in terms of working effectively, if you can really manage your time well, keep a tidy desk, avoid distractions, do one thing at a time, all those great bits of advice. But everyone says it, and they say it because it's true and it's worth it. And it will allow you the time to make time for yourself. And it's really important, because you do a much better job if you're in a good position.
Absolutely, yeah. And Sheena, how about you? Have you found it? Have you got any tips for getting that balance right, and maybe even getting a good sort of home setup sorted?
Yeah. So what Marie was just saying there, I think that would have struck a chord with a lot of people. Certainly just struck a chord with me, and really is the foundations of why most people want to become a home worker. For me, sort of in terms of words of advice, slightly different theme. Know your worth, and really learn how to value your time. And like I used to, when I was sort of training and developing travel agents in a previous role, I used to say to them, you know, if you were a tradesperson or you were a solicitor, you would put a figure on what an hour of your time is worth, and don't ever forget that. And as a travel agent, I think, you know, you could enter the danger zone of working on a quote and a requote and a requote and a requote to work with a customer that actually, are you kidding yourself? You know, a little bit. And so it's I suppose it's being true to your expertise, and valuing yourself, and making sure that you're not undercutting yourself, and being firm on knowing your worth. And that will help you with your time management as well, and to build a stronger business that's respected by yourself and others as well. You've got to be very disciplined and very organised. So I literally track my hours. So if I want to, you know, horse ride on a morning and walk in the afternoon, I know I've still got to get my 8 hours a day in. And when are those going to fit in, so that I'm not slacking? You know, the TV does not come on until 5 o'clock, you know, kind of thing. Home office setup, I am still working on that, because I live in a really tiny old cottage that doesn't have a lot of scope for having an office. So I've moved twice and I'm just in the process of like setting up in a different area just for a summer office. So I think going forward I'll have a winter office which is near the fire, and a summer office which looks out onto the fields and is nice and bright. So but yeah, it's just creating a nice warm environment that's cozy and comfortable. Obviously when you're working for a big company, you have people that come in and check that your desk is set up right and that your computer is at the right level, and so that you're not going to get workplace injury and what have you. So yeah, you've got to look after yourself and things like that. I'm about to invest in a nice new office chair because I've decided mine's not comfortable enough. But yeah, investing in yourself and into the business obviously is key.
Yeah.
Because like Linda says, you know, when you're happy, you know, that's everything.
Yeah.
That's it, really.
I think it sounds great to almost have a winter office and a summer office as well, because it gives you a bit of variety, doesn't it? I think if you're always working in the same place, it can get a bit, you can feel a bit sort of, things can get a bit staged. So it's quite nice to actually move somewhere else, and yeah, a change of scene is good, I feel. So
let's be honest, we've all tried to take our laptop outside when it's been summery, haven't we? And we've put umbrellas up, we've put it inside boxes, we've put screens on it just so we've had a change of scenery. We've all tried it. Whoever comes up with the perfect screen so you can sit outside and use your laptop, they'll have
amazing would that be?
Absolutely. Okay, so of course, you know, the pandemic has been extremely tough on all travel agents, including home workers. So just wanted to ask a bit about, you know, how the pandemic has been for you, and if you have been entitled to any government support. Sheena, we heard there that you just missed out, which is so unfortunate, and I'm sure there will be other agents in a similar situation with that as well.
My accountant actually rang me on the day of the budget and said, "Have you seen the budget?" "No, Stephen, I'm busy working." "Right, well, good news is you're now entitled to the self-employment grant because it's now been a year." And he'd worked it all out for me and everything, so bless him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I do now get support.
Yeah. And how about you, Marie?
Well, financially, it's been a horrific year for all travel agents, but thankfully most of us have been eligible for government support, which really has taken the pressure off in that department. I've personally been entitled to the self-employed. I think that's what, Sheena, what you've just mentioned, that you're about to be entitled to because the new tax year. So like, that's awesome for you. Also, I've had some discretionary grant funding from the local council as well. So I'm really grateful for the financial support that I've had that's kept me going, because, you know, operationally as well, it's been a really difficult year. It's been turbulent, it's been stressful, it's been emotional, but I guess above all, it's educational. And as we come out of this, having overcome all the challenges we faced, and you know, we can look to the future, I'm really grateful for what I've learned, how I've responded and adapted and embraced the opportunity for personal and professional development, which has made me a better and more resilient version of myself and more determined than ever to be successful. And if I hadn't have had that financial support, then I wouldn't have had the brain space to develop myself personally and professionally. So I get not everyone has been entitled to the support. There have been people that have fallen through the gaps, but I think that those people have now been recognised or will be. But yeah, it hasn't been equal for everyone. But for me personally, I've done well, and I'm grateful.
Good, I'm glad. How about you, Linda?
I had my best January ever in last year, so it was quite a shock. You know, nobody knew what the outcome of this was going to be. Personally, I have qualified for SEI SS grants, and I've also applied for local government grants as well, so they're in the pipeline and being looked at. And I am looking at another side business to this, because the grants are also supporting travel and tourism and hospitality for the future. So I'm looking at doing and running another business alongside this one, promoting my hometown and the businesses here. So as a tour guide and putting rugby on the map where I'm from, where rugby football started. So no, it's been hard for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of my colleagues, they're directors, they've not had the support. I mean, it's drip feeding through now, as we know. But sometimes when you're in a hard spot, it makes you work even harder. So I know from that point of view, if you've got outgoings, it's made them think outside the box and work harder, and they are recovering, as we all are recovering now with future bookings, and it's just being in contact with people and supporting each other. But no, it's been tough for a lot of people, and not just this industry. You know, there's lots of other industries, the music industry, the events industry, anything to do with hospitality. It's been tough. All I know is we'll be paying our taxes for the next 100 years to pay this all off. So I just hope by the time my grandchildren and their grandchildren that it'll all be paid off, and we don't have to experience anything like this again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, roll on. I think the vaccination programme and things like that, you know, things are looking brighter, thank goodness, for travel. And during this tricky time, how supportive have your respective companies been? Sheena, how's it been with Holidaysplease?
Amazing. So we have a forum. So we a bit like what Marie was saying, we have a system, CMC, and we have a forum on there, and we're always chatting. It's our communications page, and so lots of information shared. And we have the sales and support team, a group of lovely ladies, and you know, they are always in contact. I know I could call any of them or message any of them at any time. They just want to sometimes just ring and have chats, even if we're not even chatting about work, just to catch up. So without fail, every week I'll have a chat with one of them, and I know we're such a supportive group that I could go to anyone with any issues, you know, whether it's regarding a customer or an itinerary or anything else, even anything outside the job, or how I'm feeling. I know I've always got someone to talk to. So they've been absolutely fantastic. They're so good at being up to date with lots of information and getting you know, obviously we've had such information overload the last year, and it changes every 2 minutes. So they're very good at communicating, so you are up to date, so that you can communicate to customers.
Yeah, imagine that's invaluable, actually. And Linda, how about you? How supportive have the personal travel agents been?
Oh, they've been incredible. They were always incredible anyhow. You know, you could always pick up the phone to somebody. We have a virtual office where people can chat. We've also got a rainbow room where where you can talk about self-care, you know, what yoga. We've had yoga in there. We've had walking challenges. I mean, we walked to Lapland, you know, so you could log your steps. So the whole well-being of us has been looked after. You know, it's been so hard on people's mental health. So not just the business, the whole personal thing has been well supported. I think we're one of the few companies that didn't furlough our staff either. I think there was a gut reaction in the industry where people furloughed staff and then realised they had nobody left to support their business. Our company didn't do that. Mid-Counties didn't do that. Very quickly they set up Teams and Zoom calls, and the communication was the key, because when you don't know what's going on, it can be very frightening. So the communication was excellent. Keeping us updated, like you say, things that are changing literally on the hour, you know, we would share all that. It was that whole family feel again, that whole sharing of information, but also having somebody to lead it and give us concise information. So we have emails 3 times a week, which collate all the information, because when you've got thousands of bits of information coming from emails, websites, they were very good at condensing that information. And we also had the mothership. The mothership was created, and on there it gave us how to deal with each tour operator, what their up-to-date news was, you know, whether we can change the holidays, whether we can amend. So we've got some excellent resources, and the communication and keeping in contact has been invaluable, and I've been very grateful. I know I can pick up a phone at any time and speak to somebody, or arrange a call, and there's somebody there to support me. So it's been amazing.
Fantastic. And Marie, how about you at Travel Counsellors?
Yeah, travel counsellors have been absolutely wonderful during this time. Honestly, the likes of which I've never seen in my entire working life, to be honest. I have so much respect and admiration for the entire support team that have worked tirelessly to navigate us through this time with ever-changing dynamics and ever-evolving processes that have made our lives easier. And I mean, the leadership has been second to none. Genuinely, I'm in awe. It's like having Simon Sinek at the top of our tree, but the effort and dedication that's been put into our well-being and our education and our future is never ending. And I think that's reflected by our loyalty and our persistence and our how we've responded. You know, there's over 1,000 travel counsellors in the UK, but in my region, Berkshire, there's over 20 of us that are in a WhatsApp group, and you know that's probably the smallest scale support that there has been, but it's been one of the most powerful things to have a WhatsApp group that's constantly going on and on and on, and whether that's with advice or, you know, friendly chat and banter, it's all good. So from that right up to our head office restructuring the support teams to respond to what we need now, which is actually so different to what we needed this time last year. I can't fault it. It's been really, really fantastic.
Great, fantastic to hear. Okay, so we mentioned a bit about marketing earlier. How sort of crucial is marketing to securing business as a home worker, and what channels do you find most effective? Marie, should we start with you on that one?
Yeah, sure. I think when you run a business that relies on word of mouth recommendations and repeat clients, and you can't rely on national advertising campaigns, then you have to be good at marketing. But you don't have to be good at all marketing. I think it's important that you figure out which channels work for you and demonstrate the best return on investment and the right client base for you, and that you stay consistent with those. So for me, as I mentioned, it's networking, and I'll gladly spend £1,000 a year for the pleasure of attending a weekly meeting at 6:30 in the morning, because for my business, it represents a return that I can't get by door dropping leaflets or posting on Instagram. And I personally really enjoy building relationships with people who grow to know and like and trust me and book with me and recommend me. So that's the only thing I spend money on. Social media as well, of course, can't be avoided these days, so I embrace that. I use Facebook for a lot of inspirational content, offers and updates and that kind of thing. I use LinkedIn for building on the relationships that I've made through networking, and I use Google My Business as my shop window and for hosting my client reviews, and that mix for me is exactly what I need, what I enjoy, what I'm comfortable with. And everyone's got different things that work well for them, and that was my point about finding out what works best for you, because you know I do know people who get a lot of business from social media channels that I don't even use, and equally they're people that have never been networking in their life, so they don't need that and I don't need that, and it's what works best for you. And I guess trial and error at the start is one option, but when you're starting out, if you are clear about what kind of business you want, who you want to attract, you know, Linda's mentioned that she's got a lot of business clients, and actually for her going through the yellow pages when that was is that's where she's going to find those clients she wants. So that's brilliant. And if you want groups or ski or cruise, or if you're niche, then you need to go and look at where those clients are. And I guess social media is really good for finding niche groups of people. But yeah, that's what I do.
Interesting. I think it's quite important that people don't try and do absolutely everything as well. When you mentioned there, do what works for you, because there is a danger of sort of, you know, you don't actually need to do it all. If you're doing what you are doing well, then that's the most important.
Yeah, if you try and do it all, first of all, you're at risk of getting overwhelmed. You've got too much to learn to do, and it's best to do less things well, because the secret for success in anything like that is consistency. So I think it's much better to dedicate your time to being consistent on one of those things than less consistent and less good at 10 of those things.
Yeah. And Sheena, you mentioned the sort of importance of Holidaysplease providing leads as well, and you also mentioned your wedding fairs and how successful they were. Is there anything else that you found has been particularly successful for you, or any plans that you have for the future in terms of marketing?
Well, I've done gone down the social media route as well. So Instagram for inspirational posts, and Facebook is sort of my main offers page. Sort of mix it up a little bit, and obviously LinkedIn as well. So I've managed to grow quite a large following on those platforms, and they work quite well. They probably don't generate loads of leads, but it's that because all your friends and family are connecting, so it's that word of, it helps with the word of mouth and referrals as well. I'm keen to get back onto the wedding fairs, to be fair. I absolutely love them, and obviously that's going to boom as well. I'm still playing around with ideas because it's still quite new. It's interesting the feedback that Marie's got there with the networking groups, because I've been approached a couple of times. And I've almost taken the plunge and never quite been brave enough, because it's a large amount of money to invest. So you're kind of making me rethink that, actually, and whether I do go down that route. But obviously last year I haven't felt able to put over £1,000 in, because you don't know, projecting your income recently has been quite tricky. But I would look to do that. But I really enjoy the social media aspect, which I never thought I would, because before being self-employed, I didn't like Facebook at all, barely went on it. And now I'm like, you're talking about marketing sort of spend and time, but I make sure that so many hours a week I'm sat down, I'm scheduling posts, I'm thinking about content, and I'm doing interactive posts. And dedicating at least probably an hour a day just to social media. So but I'm still learning, and I'm still growing, and still experimenting, and I think that's part of the fun of running your own business, isn't it? And then when you find what really works, hone in on it and make that your key method.
Absolutely. And Linda, you mentioned sort of starting out by, contacting people in the yellow pages. How has that kind of progressed over time? What kind of marketing channels are you using now, and how much time are you dedicating a week, would you say, to marketing as well?
So from yellow pages, I went very quickly into groups. So I joined like a B&I group 15 odd years ago, and I still have those relationships with those people that still recommend. I do 1N and 4N, which is the social aspect and the business side. And they've got multiple groups up and down the country. So I have one dedicated group where I deal with 20 odd people, and they're my cheerleaders, they're my representatives, they're my sales representatives. They go out and tell other people, they tell their family and friends, they pop up on social media and say, I know Linda, so I would say I'm a collector of people. I would highly recommend, Sheena, looking again at 1N, 4N, 3N, B&I, your local FSB, your chambers of commerce. They don't need to be expensive groups. You don't have to pay thousands and thousands. I would say put a gang of people, a tribe of people around you that you fall in love with, and they fall in love with you, and they will go out and tell people. It's testing things. So I've had a LinkedIn page for 10 years, not really done much with it, but recently I have. So I've showed up on there consistently, most recently. Facebook, you can't do them all. Like Maria said, you end up spreading yourself quite thinly, and you get brain overload. So you can either employ somebody to do your social media, and there's some brilliant people out there that will support you in doing that. If you may go down that routing of finding somebody to do your social media for you. So there's all ways. I'd say test it and then hone in on two things that you love. That's what I would say to you. But your main thing is always going to be your personal contact and your word of mouth marketing. Yeah, go and collect people who love you and that you love, and get them to sell you, and you've got it made. And with people like weddings, I mean, I used to do the wedding fairs, the Condé Nast shows. We used to do our own shows. I've done the Asian wedding fairs. It's what gives you life. Do the marketing that gives you life and that you sell yourself. And videos, you are your brand. Go out, put some videos out there. You'll be fantastic.
Brilliant.
I love that, Linda. Collect people. I'm going to take that on board.
Can I add one more thing that I'm sure Linda will agree with on the topic of networking? But obviously for the last year, our networking groups have been hosted online rather than face-to-face. But, you know, typically people think about going networking because they're going to meet people who are going to increase their business, and they'll book holidays from it. But one of the things that I found most beneficial over the last year, especially when I'm not getting much business from it, but the support of local like-minded business owners is phenomenal. And if you're starting out home working, to be part of a group like that, because for most of us, my friends aren't business owners, my family aren't business owners, so there's a lot of things that I can talk to about with those people that understand, because they're also business owners. So the support network you get through networking is phenomenal. And just another point in relation to the cost, there's a lot of local council support at the moment where they're offering grants for people to do things like networking, business coaching, those kind of things that support the growth of your business. So it's really worth looking into that. And if there's a possibility that you could get your membership fees for any networking groups covered.
That's really interesting.
Nice.
Thank you so much. It's been really great to talk to you all. I think just finally, we're sort of running out of time, but you've offered so much brilliant advice already, but do you have any sort of final words of advice or tips for agents that might be, that have started out as a home worker during this time, or that are thinking about taking the plunge? Sheena, should we start with you, as newest to the...
I'd say anyone thinking about taking the plunge, if you've got a solid background in travel and you know what you're an expertise in and you are passionate about it, go for it. Don't think twice about it. Be your own boss. It's the best thing that you can do.
Amazing, thank you. And Marie, how about you?
I think advice, my advice would be that if you can clearly define the boundaries to distinguish between your work life and your home life in your home, and you can have a space that can be yours to work from, that really is all you need to be able to get your head around home working. But the advantages and the opportunity you've got to build a career doing what you're passionate about doing, if that's what you want to do, then there's no better way to do it. Of course, when I set out to think about how I was going to build a travel business, that's what I wanted. I didn't know that I wanted a franchise with travel counsellors at the time. I knew I wanted to run my own travel business. Of course, one of the things I auditioned was setting up my own. And that's crazy, absolutely crazy. But if you're looking at getting involved with a company that can offer you everything you need to do the thing that you love and have the flexibility to work from home and earn money, just do it.
Amazing, thank you. And Linda, how about you? And what kind of skills would you say you need to be a good home worker? And have you got any final tips for people?
To be a good home worker, be open-minded, look at all the franchise out there. Different things will suit different people's personalities. Do the homework, speak to the people who work for those home working companies, ask them about the crap bits as well. There's sometimes where you are on the phone at 11 o'clock at night because something's gone wrong. It's not all rose tinted spectacles. Be honest with people, be consistent, but ultimately be happy. Do something that makes you happy. My dad used to say to me, find a job that you'll do for nothing, and if you get paid for it, you found the right job. So that's what I would say. If you're, if you want to do it, but go in wholeheartedly. Don't have a plan B. That's what I would say. Go in with your plan A and go for it wholeheartedly. Ask for help. educate yourself, and ultimately, you know, we're only on this earth once, make the most of it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Linda. Well, great words to end on there. So I think that's all we've got time for today. So big thank you to Marie, Linda and Sheena for joining me today and for sharing your perspectives. It's been really interesting to hear your insights. And to those watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you found it useful and that it's answered at least some of your questions about homeworking. And if you have any further questions, do pop them in the comments box below the video and we'll try and answer them for you at a later stage as well. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Abra. Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thank you.